So we fundamentally wanted IT and security teams to have visibility and control of the software applications, right? And we have been able to solve for that problem in three aspects. The first is what we call the SaaS management. And here we help IT and security teams understand how many SaaS applications they have, SaaS discovery as we call it. And in the new age of AI, then how many of the shadow AI tools their employees are using, and to how many shadow AI applications are they giving companies data to train to. So things like that we give visibility into. And we also help with cost management of the software stack and also contract and renewal management. So that's a pretty unique offering from what we have. And the second offering that we have that sets us apart is the access management, where we are able to help companies go beyond SCIM and help them with very deep provisioning and deep provisioning lifecycle management of their SaaS applications. In fact, what I take pride is when IT teams enjoys a holiday on a beach, Zluri takes care of provisioning and deprovisioning, right? I would like to tell them that's exactly how we help them. And also things like access request and unifying all of these things around access, we help them under access management. And the last but not the least is access reviews. With every company becoming important in compliance and security, they want to know who has access to what, and that has to be audited every quarter depending upon a compliance you might have. If you're listed on the NASDAQ or the stock exchange in Israel, you're bound by some of those compliance policies, which means if you do not review the access of software applications on a periodic basis, then you can be liable for hefty fines or fees to those compliance agencies. And that's something that we help companies get right on our platform. And the beauty is we bring all of these in a single consolidated platform. So you don't have to go to three different vendors for solving three different problems, but you can just come to one company like Zluri to get all of this in one platform, which means we can't pass the buck on the problem to someone else. We have to own it up and solve it for our customers. And we take pride in delivering value end to end, and that sets us apart, Ronan, from the space.
Great points, Satu. Now, what would you say Zluri has been recognized as a leader in the industry? What factors drive this success, and how do you stay ahead of the competition?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ronan. So, two parts, right? One is maybe I'll get the credentials out of the way, right? So Zluri is a leader in the Gartner SaaS Management Magic Quadrant of 2024. For everyone's benefit, this is the first time Gartner ever launched a Magic Quadrant in this space, and we've been able to become a leader already, right? And in the Forrester Wave of SaaS security posture management, we are right next to Zscaler in the whole Challenger framework. And in the GigaOM report, also we've been recognized as a leading SaaS management platform. And a lot of more awards on G2, Gartner peer review, and so on and so forth. Now, what helped us become the leader is because fundamentally to not just help you with visibility and control of software applications on just on the cost side, but also on security side in terms of who has access to what and how can you basically add access at the right time and to remove access at the right time is something that we help companies do fully in automated manner. And I think that's been a differentiator in how we've been able to do things, right? And it's important that if you see, because today there are a lot of people coming in a company and they're going out on a very frequent basis, could be full-time employees, could be contractors, could be any kind of a role they play. IT and security are fundamentally not in full control of how the access should be provisioned and deprovisioned in its entirety. And that could impact a lot of things for them across the company. And that's something Zluri has been able to automate on an almost a zero touch basis. I like to claim that. But wherever we require human intervention, we need IT and security to get involved. But more or less, a fully automated system is what we've been trying to visualize and build for our customers. And that makes us pretty unique in this space. And that's probably one reason why we've been able to consistently be a leader across all of that, analysts that we respect in the industry.
Okay, great, thanks. What are the biggest technological challenges business face in SaaS management and identity governance?
Sure. This is one of my favorite part of the question, Ronan, right? So maybe I'll explain this chart to you. In fact, $1 million question or a multi-billion dollar question that I like to ask IT and security is, do the right people have the right access to the right resource at the right time? Do the jobs, right? And today, people want to get the jobs done, but they don't have the right tooling to get the job done. If you see with the whole AI and agents coming in, that's only going to get worse over time, right? Because there are going to be eventually going to be working with probably a lot of non-humans. I think if you see NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang as of yesterday in the CES show in Las Vegas, he said a very beautiful statement. I think if people from IT and security are going to be on this call, he said in the future, which is right now, IT will be the HR department of the companies where they hire and train AI agents for jobs, right? Which means IT and security roles are going to become more and more important as we move forward. But hey, again, the most important question is, do the right people have the right access to the right resources at the right time? And the problem why this becomes the most important question is because today, like I said, you are in identity sprawl world. Do you know how many contractors you have? Do you know how many full-time employees you have? Do you know how many gig workers, as they call it, people who drive your cars or deliver food? They're all called the gig workers. And how many non-human identities do you have? If I ask you a question about all of these splits, probably you don't have an answer off the ground, right? And that's a fundamental visibility problem that you have. And combine that with the number of applications that you do not even know you have, which is application sprawl, as I call it. Now imagine identity sprawl and application sprawl multiplied, you have an absolute wild, wild west of an access sprawl. Do you know who has access to what tools at what time to get the jobs done? You have no idea. And that's what we believe one single platform has to solve for, right? And that's the problem that Zluri's embarked on. And we believe to solve for this problem, you need to have, from a product perspective, a SaaS management and an IGA platform combined into one platform so that we can help you understand all of this identity sprawl, application sprawl, and access sprawl in one platform. So that's something that probably when I get to the demo, I'll show in depth, but that's a $1 billion question that I think we help companies solve for.
Looking ahead, what are the next big challenges or trends you anticipate in IAM and security in the near future?
Yeah, I love the forward-looking statements, Ronan, right? I think what the future looks like, right? I think one is very, very clear. Everyone knows it already. Um, Identity is a new perimeter. I think network used to be the biggest perimeter for security attacks. Now that's changed. And today people are trying to attack identity of a company to get to anything they want into, right? I think that's a probably become sort of a the Achilles heel, as we call it, right, in the Greek mythology, where the most strongest point is your weakness as well, right? So you kept identity in place to actually help you solve a lot of problem. But today, because you do not know how many identities are there, like we spoke about earlier, the identity sprawl is a problem today, right? When you do not know how many identities you have and how many applications you have no idea from which side you're going to get attacked. So identity is a new perimeter of attack, and that's only going to get worse, right? And I think that's probably, I don't know how worse it's going to get, but hey, I know if you don't fix it and solve for it, it's going to get worse, right? That's one biggest trend that I see as we move on. And second is the whole zero touch architecture, zero trust perimeter, or whatever we want to call it, right? Evolution. Um, Today, we need to get the flexibility to help people work from any device, any location, or any application to get the job done. And people say they want to get measured by how much of the work they're going to get accomplished, not where, right? And I think post-COVID
Yes.
happened is people say work is not where you go to, it's what you do, right? And which means, can you enable a zero trust architecture as IT and security for your employees to get the jobs done. And that's going to be a very important evolution I look forward to as well. And last but not the least, with the whole infusion of AI and agents coming in, people say that in 2025 is going to be the year of AI agents, which means you might probably, if you have 1,000 employees in your company, you could potentially end up having another 1,000 employees, 10,000 employee agents, right? And who do you think cares for that agents? It's IT and security. And do you know how are you going to hire them? How are you going to give identity to them? How are you going to track them for the performance? And how are you going to probably fire them as well if they don't do the jobs well? So all of this is something that it's probably entering an age of confusion in that sense to begin with. But I tend to think every new technological era brings about confusion at the beginning, but then a lot of clarity and advancement later on. So I think it's an exciting time to be in IT security, personally for me and for everyone else. And I think every opportunity or every technology is a new opportunity for all of us. And I think I'm super excited to get into 2025 with all of you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the overview here.
Thanks, Ron. So what I'm planning to do now is to probably run a quick walkthrough of the platform, not more than 20 odd minutes here. And I think we spoke a lot about SaaS management, and access reviews combining together. And I'm happy to do a quick walkthrough and a demo for the audience here. Just let me know once you're able to see my screen. Can you share my screen here?
Yes, can see it.
Awesome. So we spoke about multiple products, right? A SaaS management identity governance, any of the platforms to begin with. And I'm going to log into SaaS management and I'm going to show you first that product. And then I'm going to go to the IGA platform and going to show you how that works as well, right? So to begin with, one of the most exciting things about the Zluri platform is the number of integrations you can do on the platform to actually get your data into it. So let me tell you how the overall integration and the starting point works. Like you'll be able to see there are a ton of integrations we built out for you. So you can start by connecting any of those applications. We recommend you to connect your identity systems, your HRMS system, and the ERP system, right? An example could be the Oktas of the world or the HiBobs of the world and also the NetSuite of the world. So you connect all of these systems on Zluri and you start bringing in the data. And the data we will use the data to actually tell you the number of applications, the employees, the usage, the spend, and the upcoming contract renewals, right? And we're going to help you understand all of this. But my most favorite part is actually the whole applications module, right? You will be able to see all the applications in one single view, and you can actually see different kinds of view that matters to you. If you're in, for example, we've seen IT invite financial procurement as well onto our platform. So they would want to see the contract and renewal view. And maybe you from IT want to see the usage view to save cost, for example. Or sometimes security teams want to use our platform to understand the security view of the applications. So once you bring in all the applications onto Zluri, you can have different views that you think that you want to have to make sense of the platform. All right. Let me just stick to the main view for now for the demo purpose. Um, Zluri automatically categorizes the applications. There is no manual effort involved at all. And you can see who the application owners are, the active users for the application, the total licenses, the annual spend. All of this you will be able to spot within Zluri, right? And that gives you a lot of insights into what decisions you want to make, right? And this is for the managed application. And if you remember, in the beginning of the webinar, I spoke to you about the fact there are so many more applications that you do not even know existed in the company, the shadow IT. And that Zluri brings about in this tab called the needs review, right? And from needs review, you can choose the applications and move them to the manage section. And manage section is all of that IT knows of and has control over. Unmanaged is nothing but your business units manage application. Could be Salesforce and examples like that. And restricted are actually applications that you don't want your employees to use. Could be, let's say, ChatGPT, for example, right? And when you mark them as restricted, employees won't be able to use the application, or when they try to use the applications, they will be notified saying, as per the company policy, you're not allowed to use these applications. So that way security is protected, right? So these kind of different views can come over in applications, and you can block whatever you think should be blocked for the company, right? So let me deep dive into one application, and probably I'll take Microsoft. Everybody knows the application. For every single application, you will be able to see the active users from the direct integration, the total amount of spend, and how many assigned licenses that you have done, and when is the contract upcoming renewal date for you. So you'll be able to see the most important data for every application right on the screen. And you will be able to see who the owner of the application is as well on the platform. And you will be able to see from which departments are the application users from, right? And we fetch the data automatically either from your IDP system or HRMS system, and we're able to populate this for you, all right? And if you want to do chargeback per department, you can do that. That's something a finance team would love to do. And this is the most important one. What's the estimated cost and the spend? That's the most important value, right? You budget, let's say 100K for an application, but you end up spending 200K. Your CFO is probably going to be unhappy. How do you track for it beforehand? So Zluri can help you track on a real-time basis with the estimated budget and the spend as well, right? And you will be able to see app insights. And I call this show me the money screen, right? I think if you come to the screen, you're going to be able to save a lot of money, right? And how do you do that? You'll be able to see this data automatically given by Zluri through Zluri Insights, right? You can check all the users for every application automatically from here, and even the role in the application. Now imagine if you want to know the application, the users, the role, the license, the cost, the spend, all of that for all your applications, there's a page to come to, right? Helps you a lot. Saves a ton of time for you. If you want to look at the contract data of this application, that can come in over here. So if we've seen our customers either use sometimes Coupa or a NetSuite systems like that, guess what? We can automatically pull in this data from those systems. It is severity level as well, right? And we will also be able to share all the compliance data of this particular application. So if you're preparing yourself for a GDPR, SOC 2, Type 2, you can come to this page and get all the data. So we scrape the internet for you and get this data right here. This is something that we help customers because they find value. Right? So this is actually the application part of the product where we give all the details. So if there is one statement I want to make before moving to the next module, then it's this. If you want to know how many applications you have, who are the users within those applications, and what are the roles, and how much is spending money on them, and what are optimization opportunities, then this is the module we come to, right? That's the single line of summary. We can look at the user view on Zluri as well, which means which user has access to what kind of tools. Let me just say I go to Charles Nelson here. If I want to see how many applications did Charles use, I can just go click here and I can see all the application Charles uses. And right on the screen, you can see how many approved application he uses versus unapproved or restricted application he uses as well. That way it gives you a complete power and saying who else employees wouldn't really stick to the the rules. And within the users, we also show you how many employees, how many groups, how many service accounts, and how many external users. That's very, very important for you, which means you might have a different threshold for different employee category. You would be relatively okay with a lot of things, full-time employees, but for external employees, you're going to be very strict about what access they have. So which means you can come and start reviewing that also in Zluri. You can look at an external employee and look at the application he or she has. As long as it's within one or two applications, in this case, it's HiBob, we're okay. They could be contractors on the platform who could be helping you with some kind of a field service, but who don't use an application. That's okay. right? Imagine if external employees start having access to your identity system. You might not be cool with it. So things like that can be automated on Zluri as well. You can get to the groups and understand who are the users within each group on Zluri and look at any action you want to take groups to employees as well, right? Things like that help really a lot. You can look at department-wise data. How many application does sales have? You can go to multiple levels, by the way, as well. If you're a complex organization with multi-geography and multi-location, you might have more than 2, 3 different levels of department. You can review that as well, right? Let me jump into this. This is something that I've seen customers love using Zluri for, to look at all the licenses of all the applications in one page, right? Helps tremendously for IT security teams as well. So you can look at all the licenses, all the subscriptions, and all the contracts on a single view, right? And if you want to double click on anything, you will be able to do that as well. Right? You can go to application, go look at the users, any documents. It's all stored right here. And one problem I've realized companies have is they don't have a single place that holds all the contracts of software applications. If you go to a Coupa, it's got all the expenses and spends in one platform. But within Zluri, you've got all the data only for software applications. So people love to come to use for that reason as well, right? And this is a renewal view that they love to have. So forward-looking 12 months, Zluri shows you all the contracts coming up for renewal. So we give you a notification 60 days in advance, 30 days in advance, 15 days in advance, and 1 day in advance. Cancel the contract should you want to, or right size the contract or downgrade the contract as well. So that's a big power that we have. You can bring that for you. And you can have all the vendor data as well. Super useful feature, right? And this is a very interesting, again, another show me the money screen, right? You can look at all the applications in one page and the potential optimization opportunities in the form of undeprovisioned license, unused license, optimizable license, and unassigned license, and so on and so forth, right? All of that today, if you were to do it manually, will take you a few months. With Zluri, it's all automated, right? And I'll probably show you something that I deeply care about, the whole access management part of things, right? How do you onboard and offboard employees 100% automatically on Zluri? And the way we've done this is through the concept of something called the playbooks. Think of playbooks in a very simpler manner. To know it is like in your company, you know how many applications should your employees have access to, which is I call the birthright applications. Access to your HRM systems, IDP system, email system, and whatnot. All of this become default access for them, for any employee for that matter. And then comes department application access. Then comes role application access. The beauty on Zluri is you can create all of these as different playbooks, right? And I'll quickly create a playbook for your benefit, and I'll show you the way it comes. Pretty beautiful the way it flows entirely. So Zluri automatically, depending upon an organization discovery method, we recommend application that should be part of your playbooks. So here it's Azure AD, for example, could add, and Zluri automatically pops up a few actions for you for the applications because we believe that's the best practice. Hey, but you have a different process, that's fine. Go ahead and delete those actions. You don't have to do it, right? It's perfectly okay. And if you want to add an additional action on each of the application, boom, we pop it up for you on the left. So many actions you could choose from, up to you to build the playbook. And the beauty is you can also add more and more applications within the same playbook. You can add Azure AD, maybe next you can add HiBob, you can add Okta, and whatnot, and build all of that actions within Zluri. And the beauty is today we've built about 200 application integration and almost 3,000 actions. And the most important difference is because we go beyond SCIM and we do this automation via APIs, we can go much, much deeper, right? For example, you can create roles, you can add them to groups, you can create authentication provider, all of that for an application right on Zluri, which means very important point to know is giving access and removing access is not the only job of IT security. To make the employee productive by giving them all the right access within the tool is important. And that's what we help with, right? So by this, what we've seen is companies have been able to automate, I don't know, probably 10 application as birthright and 50 different actions on all those applications fully automatically on Zluri. Now imagine for every employee joining and every employee leaving, you're able to automate almost 100 actions with zero touch. And that's what is the biggest value of what we're able to do, right? Um, with this playbook, customers do ask us, can we automate these? Yes, you can. And there are different kinds of automation rules that you can build on Slurry. So for example, you can add any kind of trigger. When user status changes, for example, and the integration source, let's say equals, let's say HiBob is your onboarding system, then I can now create the playbook that I just created, which is the onboarding playbook. So which means when the HR department adds someone on HiBob, Zluri recognizes that and adds the employee to all the application we just spoke about. And IT doesn't have to do anything in between, by the way. That's more important. And at the same time, if you want to remove employee access based on a trigger from HiBob or Okta or Microsoft or Google, you can do that as well, fully automated. And that's what I said early on. The provision and deprovision can happen while IT and security probably is on a holiday, and they don't have to be bugged on. Very, very important, right? So we saw about the application, the users, the spend, the access, and the provision, deprovision automation, right? And that all combines together in the SaaS manager platform, end to end, right? And if you want to go to the next product, which is identity governance, this is where companies and customers come to us for automating the governance of application access reviews, right? And if you want to use their access reviews for different applications, Zluri automatically pulls about the user, the integration, and the roles for you to do the review. Let me probably quickly create a new review for you and show it to you. Super easy and super breezy, right? I'll go over here and let's say I'm going to create a new review for an application. Let's say, let me say Zendesk for an example here. For SOC 2 compliance, excuse the spelling. And let's say I'm saying Roxanne Parasan is a, I'm going to add the application. You can choose application, right? And Zluri, once you integrate them, you can select the primary reviewer. Remember, we had the owner, automatically pops up. The fallback can be right now over here. You can add multiple levels. I'm skipping for the demo purpose. And Zluri automatically brings about the user's employment status within the company. So by looking at this, I know I have to really remove access for Adeline and Adrienne because they're not in the company anymore, but they still have access to Zendesk. Not okay from security point of view, definitely not okay from cost point of view as well, right? And we also can pull in the licenses of the user from the application and what role they had within the application and the job title, user account type, all of this. But again, we give the option for you to customize what field you want to have and what field you want to remove. So which means if an employee or the manager or the department head wants to review the application and the user roles, they can have as much as data that they want and context they want to actually do the reviews, right? And that's something you can choose to have, choose not to have. You can remove it, assuming that I'm going with what I have now. And remember, we created the playbooks for giving access and removing access. That playbooks can be tied back to this. And this is very, very important. I'm going to say the next few words. The problem today is after user access reviews, let's say people take action on who should have access, who should not have access, that removing of access or remediating access is a job of IT and security. And guess what? Ball gets dropped there. People are reviewed, but action is not taken. So we asked the question at Zluri, how can we solve for this? Why can't we work on a closed loop remediation and revoking of access? So the playbooks that we created can be tied back to this review process, which means the moment reviews happen by manager department heads, Zluri automatically revokes access right then and there, which means from the time somebody decides to remove access for someone and to the time it's removed, it's instant. There is no lag, no more creating of tickets and all that. And the audit log of all of this is on Zluri. So only platform to come to when an auditor comes for a compliance, just go to Zluri, take the audit logs and go back. It's very simple as that. And I'm going to show you the report as well. And I'm going to say revoke is the provision here, add the application. I can add multiple applications for review, but I'm skipping it for the demo here. Create certification, start the review date and end the review date. And even the remediation date can be chosen when I want to, right? I'm finishing on 20th, let's say 21st, I do the remediation and certification gets created. Boom, that's about it. And how does it look like? I'm going to show you something that's already done. And this becomes the IT's view and security's view as well, right? If you have a GRC team, they want to look into it, they can look into it as well, right? And let me show something that's done. Let me take Okta's access review here. And once certification is complete, you can actually see whether it's fully approved or not. Wherever it's approved, it's right there. Wherever it's remediated, people give a comment and all of that as well. And then you can actually go ahead and complete certification. Once you complete, what happens is all the playbooks start to run. When access gets removed or revoked or kept as, right? It's right then and there. And you can go to the reports and create all kinds of reports that you would want to create. Or I can even show you a report, how it would pop up in the case of UIR, which is auditor ready, by the way. Let me know once you're able to see that report. Yeah, you can see my report, right? So once you finish the UIR report, this is what you would be able to get from Zluri. It tells you, maybe I can zoom in a little bit. It tells you who completed the report, when it was done, when it was initiated. And these are, by the way, auditor ready reports, just to be clear on that. So which means auditors are very happy to see who did it, how they did it, how was access revoked, and was it done in an automation manner or by a manual manner. All of that can easily be seen. And the beauty is all of this can start to happen on Slurry in a completely recurring manner as well. If you have 4 audits in a year for 10 applications, everything can happen consistently and in automated manner by us. You don't need to come to the platform every time to create these reports. So it becomes super useful from that perspective as well, right? Last but not the least, I want to show you the access request module that we built out as well. So in case you want employees to start using a platform like Zluri for requesting for application access, then this is what the screen looks like, right? So this tells you the application. I call it the App Store for employees. Like you have an Apple App Store and Google Play Store, similar to that. So you have all of that on the platform, and employees can request for the application of their choice right from here. The org, they can check for the thing. I want this. I can check for the application I'm requesting for myself, what kind of license I want. I can check for all of this. And the beauty is, if you already have a pre-approved workflow in the terms of sales asking for Salesforce, automatically approve and provision, Zluri can provision. Again, if you remember the playbook concept we created, comes back here again. So Zluri automatically provisions the licenses and you can start using it. So what happens is in a ticketing system, if people are requesting for application, IT or security needs to get involved to review the tickets, help desk gets involved. It takes 3-4 days to get an access. With this, you know what happens? The moment I request for Salesforce, I get Salesforce in the next 30 minutes on my inbox. It's so quick. So from the time I want to be productive, it's extremely quick, which is very, very hard in today's ticketing system-based access request, which is what we were able to solve for. Even if you want to provision these applications via Okta, you can do that as well. Or provision directly from the application, you can do that as well. It's your choice. At the same time, if marketing requesting for Salesforce, you want to go through an approval process, guess what? Even that can be enabled through workflows. So eventually, the way employee app requisition process can be customized to the way for your organization that you want it. And we've been able to do this because we have all the application data, license data, contract data, user data, and department data, which is missing in a ticketing system today. And most important, if you have a Slack in your company, if you're using Slack for communication, employees don't even need to come to Zluri's platform to request for access. They can request via Slack, and they can get it on Slack itself. Even managers can approve via Slack itself. So people can work without coming to Zluri for employees. So I think a lot of things we've been able to do on a single platform. I know a 20-minute demo wouldn't do justice to what we've built, but I hope I was able to get through a lot of things that matter to you as IT security. Always happy to double click on certain of these features, but for now, I'll take a pause. A lot has been spoken. I hope this was useful.
Thank you very much, Setu. It was a great presentation you gave us today.